The stars stretched across the dark space like glowing rivers of silver. The small supply shuttle from Earth glided through that endless sky. Inside the ship sat Rin, a young engineer who had always believed machines never failed him. He had spent years maintaining ships that carried food and tools between Earth and its distant colonies. This mission was supposed to be simple: deliver the cargo, check the systems, and return home. But fate had a different plan waiting for him. Rin was checking a monitor when a strange vibration passed through the floor of the shuttle. The light above his head flickered and an alarm started to flash on the control panel. He frowned, trying to steady the ship. The navigation screen filled with red symbols. An energy wave, unexpected and strong, had hit the shuttle. The engines started to fail. He tried every emergency code he knew, but the power was dropping fast. The last thing Rin saw before losing control was a huge planet covered with violet clouds. It looked peaceful, almost beautiful. Then the shuttle began to fall. The crash was not loud in space. It was only a bright flash followed by silence. When Rin opened his eyes again, everything around him was quiet. The ship was half buried in a field of glowing blue grass. The air outside shimmered like light through water. His arm hurt, but it was not serious. He pulled himself out of the wreck, breathing slowly, trying to make sense of this strange place. The planet's sky was painted in shades of violet and pink. Trees stood like glass towers, their branches sparkling under the twin suns. The ground felt soft under his boots. His suit's scanner beeped gently, showing that the air was breathable. He was lucky to be alive. Rin checked his communicator, but there was no signal. The crash had destroyed the long-range system. He took a small survival pack from the shuttle and began to walk. Maybe he could find life, maybe help. Every step felt heavy. The silence of the alien world surrounded him, broken only by the hum of insects that looked like tiny shining stones. After a while, he reached a narrow valley filled with mist. He was about to rest when he heard a faint sound. It was not a machine. It was a voice. Weak, almost like a sigh carried by the wind. He followed it and soon saw a group of tall figures standing around someone lying on the ground. Their skin glowed softly and their clothes shimmered like silk made of light. They were not human, but they looked gentle and afraid. One of them raised a hand when Rin approached. The being spoke in a language full of rhythm and music. Rin could not understand. He held his hands up to show peace. The figures lowered their guard and one stepped closer. This one had long silver hair and calm eyes. She pointed at the person lying on the ground and said something again, her voice filled with worry. Rin knelt beside the fallen figure. It was a young girl, her skin pale blue and her breathing slow. She looked fragile, like a flower fading under cold rain. Around her wrist was a metal band with strange symbols. Rin turned on his scanner, trying to read her condition. The small screen flashed with strange results. Her blood pressure was low and her heart rhythm unstable. She was dying. He looked up at the group. They were watching him with hope. Rin wished he could do something. His first aid kit had human medicine, not alien ones. But then he noticed something unusual. His scanner showed that her blood structure was surprisingly close to human. Not identical, but close enough. It was impossible, but real. If he could match the missing element, maybe he could save her. He looked at her again. Her lips moved slightly, whispering something. He did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. It was a plea. Rin made a decision. He had no tools to repair the shuttle or call Earth, but he could try to save one life. That was enough reason to act. He opened his emergency medical case. There was a small transfusion kit, used for extreme situations. He connected the device to scan compatibility again. The screen flashed green. The alien girl's body could accept his blood. The thought made him pause for a moment. He was on a strange world, surrounded by beings he did not know, about to do something that could risk his own health. But the way those beings watched him, the hope in their eyes, made him move. He cleaned the instruments carefully and attached the tube to his arm. Then he guided the other end into the small device near her wrist. The machine hummed softly as it began to transfer blood. The blue veins in her skin glowed faintly. Rin felt a wave of lightheadedness, but he stayed calm. Minutes passed slowly. The others stood in silence, afraid to interrupt. Then the girl's breathing changed. Her chest began to rise steadily. A soft color returned to her cheeks. Her eyes opened, revealing silver irises like starlight. The beings around her gasped. Rin smiled weakly, relief washing over him. The girl blinked at him in confusion, then touched his hand. Her skin was warm, not cold anymore. The one with silver hair knelt beside Rin and said something that sounded like thanks. She pressed a crystal to her chest, then to his. The gesture was full of meaning, even without words. Rin nodded, feeling his strength fading slightly, but his heart was light. He had saved someone. That was enough. They helped him stand. Two of the beings supported him gently and led him toward the valley's edge. The air shimmered, and suddenly a large structure appeared in the distance. It looked like a palace made of crystal and light, rising above the trees like a dream. The group walked toward it with care. Rin felt dizzy, but the beauty of the scene kept him awake. The closer they came, the more he noticed glowing paths, soft music in the wind, and the scent of flowers that opened only under the twin suns. When they reached the gates, guards in silver armor stepped forward, their weapons held low in respect. The one with silver hair spoke quickly, and the guards bowed to Rin. They led him through wide halls filled with streams of light. Every surface seemed alive. Walls changed color when someone passed near them. Creatures that looked like floating feathers drifted in the air. The air inside felt cool and gentle. They guided him to a chamber surrounded by smooth glass walls. In the center lay the girl he had saved. She was now sitting up, smiling faintly. The silver-haired woman spoke again, placing her hand on the girl's shoulder. Rin understood without translation that they were family, maybe a mother or guardian. The girl's eyes met his, filled with quiet wonder. She touched her chest, then pointed to him. The others around them murmured words that sounded soft and warm. Rin sat on a nearby seat trying to rest. The room glowed softly, and a strange calm filled him. For the first time since the crash, he did not feel alone. He could not understand their language, but he understood kindness. It was something that did not need words. Later, a new figure entered the room. She was taller than the others, wearing a robe that seemed woven from stars. Her presence was calm yet powerful. The others bowed deeply. Rin guessed she was their ruler. Her gaze met his, curious but gentle. She stepped closer and studied him for a long moment. Then she spoke softly, her voice clear and smooth. He could not understand, but he felt respect in her tone. She raised her hand, and the girl beside her smiled. The queen placed a small crystal pendant around Rin's neck. It glowed faintly, matching his heartbeat. The meaning was clear. It was a sign of honor. Rin stood slowly, unsure how to respond. He bowed slightly as he had seen them do. The queen nodded in approval. Then she spoke a few words to the silver-haired woman, who smiled and guided Rin to another room. There he was given food that shimmered like clear fruit and water that tasted sweet and cool. His body felt light again, the weakness fading away. As he lay on the soft bed that seemed to float slightly above the floor, Rin looked through the window. Outside, the sky turned from violet to deep blue as the sun sank behind the crystal towers. He could see small lights moving like fireflies in the distance. He wondered if anyone from Earth would ever find him. But for now he was safe. He had saved someone's life, and these people had given him shelter. He closed his eyes, feeling the calm rhythm of the pendant on his chest. The sound of distant singing filled the air. The planet Iria was unlike anything he had ever imagined, and though he did not know it yet, the moment he shared his blood with the princess had changed his fate forever. When Rin woke the next morning, the room was full of soft golden light. The walls of the chamber glowed like dawn mist, and the air smelled faintly of sweet flowers. For a moment he forgot he was not on Earth. Then he saw the strange floating crystals and the tall window opening to a world of silver trees and violet skies, and memory returned. He was still on the planet Iria, still far from home. He sat up slowly. His body felt lighter than the day before, and the pendant around his neck glowed faintly in rhythm with his heartbeat. As he touched it, the door of the room slid open without sound. The young alien girl he had saved the day before entered the room, smiling brightly. She wore soft white robes that shimmered when she moved. Her silver eyes glowed with life. She said a few words in her melodic language and placed a hand over her chest. Rin smiled and copied the gesture, hoping it meant good morning or thank you. The girl laughed softly, her voice bright as water over stone. She pointed at herself and spoke a single word clearly. Tali. Then she pointed at him with curiosity. Rin, he said, touching his chest. Tali, she said again, smiling. Rin, they both laughed. The moment was simple but full of warmth. Even without full language, they understood each other. Tali motioned for him to follow. Rin stood and walked beside her down the long hallway. The corridor walls shone with patterns that shifted like gentle waves. When they passed, the light followed their steps. The floor beneath his boots was cool and smooth. Every few meters, strange plants grew inside crystal tubes glowing softly with color. The entire place felt alive, like it was breathing with them. As they turned a corner, the scent of food drifted toward him. They entered a large hall where several alien attendants were arranging dishes on long tables. The plates were filled with fruits of every color, drinks that sparkled like morning dew, and bread made of soft blue grain. Tali gestured for him to sit. When Rin tasted the food, it surprised him. The flavors were gentle and sweet, unlike anything on Earth but strangely pleasant. Tali watched him with wide eyes, waiting for his reaction. Rin nodded with a smile. "Good," he said, patting his chest. She laughed again and repeated the word as if learning it. "Good." They spent a long time at the table. Though they could not talk much, they used gestures and expressions. Rin learned that Tali was not only the princess but also the only child of Queen Seren, ruler of the Irian people. He also learned that their world valued balance and light above all things. Every object, every living being was part of what they called the harmony. After the meal, Tali led him outside through a wide garden surrounded by shining trees. The sky above glowed brighter now, and two suns climbed together through the mist. The air was warm but calm. Small floating creatures moved between flowers, their wings leaving trails of soft color. It was like walking inside a dream. Rin followed Tali along a path made of crystal stones. At the end stood a tall figure waiting. It was Queen Seren herself. Her robe flowed like liquid silver, and her crown shone with faint blue light. Her presence carried quiet power, not from force but from wisdom. When she looked at Rin, it felt as though she could see everything about him, his courage, his fear, his heart. Tali ran forward and spoke quickly, her hands moving as if she was telling a story. The queen listened, then looked at Rin again. She stepped forward, her voice calm and graceful. "Rin," she said, using his name clearly. He blinked in surprise. It was the first time one of them had spoken his name perfectly. She smiled faintly, seeing his reaction. Then she spoke again in her language, but this time a small floating crystal near her shoulder translated her words into soft English. "You saved my daughter," the queen said through the device. "Your courage has given life back to our home. We owe you a debt that cannot be measured." Rin felt shy. "Anyone would have done the same," he said quietly. The queen tilted her head slightly. "No," she replied. "Many would have turned away. You gave your blood to one you did not know. You are far from your own world, yet you acted with compassion. That is rare." Tali looked at him proudly, her eyes shining. Queen Seren raised her hand, and one of the attendants stepped forward, carrying a small crystal sphere. Inside the sphere floated a soft light that moved like a living flame. "This is a gift," the queen said. "It holds our thanks. Keep it close to your heart, and it will guide you when you are lost." Rin accepted it carefully. The sphere felt warm, like it had its own heartbeat. He bowed slightly, not knowing the proper way to show respect, but hoping his meaning was clear. The queen smiled. "You are our guest," she said. "The palace is open to you. Rest, learn, and heal. You are safe here." The rest of the day passed quietly. Rin explored the palace gardens with Tali, who showed him glowing pools that reflected the sky and tall trees that sang when the wind passed through them. She also took him to a wide balcony that looked over the entire city. From there, Rin could see towers made of transparent stone, bridges that floated in the air, and ships shaped like shells gliding above the horizon. It was a city of peace and beauty. In the evening, Tali led him to a chamber filled with floating screens. Each screen showed shapes and symbols. A young Irian scholar greeted him. He had golden eyes and a patient smile. Through gestures and the translation device, he explained that the queen had ordered a team to study the connection between human and Irian biology. They wanted to understand how Rin's blood had saved Tali. Rin agreed to help. He knew that knowledge was the bridge between worlds. For several hours, he answered questions and allowed them to scan his body. They were respectful and gentle. Each time a new result appeared, the scholars murmured with excitement. Rin did not understand all the science, but he could see their amazement. When the study ended, the queen herself returned to thank him again. She looked at the screens showing the data. "Your people are strong," she said softly. "Your blood carries more than life. It carries will. It carries memory of survival." Rin shrugged modestly. Humans just try to keep going, he said with a smile. Queen Seren looked thoughtful. That is what makes your kind different. You do not stop even when the universe turns cold. Her words stayed in his mind long after she left. Later that night, as Rin sat near his window, he saw the city lights glowing like stars below. He thought about Earth and how far it was. He wondered if anyone there knew he was alive. He missed the sound of rain, the smell of soil, the taste of simple coffee. Yet there was peace in his heart. He had found kindness among strangers, something rare even back home. The door opened quietly and Tali entered again. She carried a small device shaped like a star. When she pressed it, a gentle tune filled the air. It was a song soft and full of light. Rin listened, feeling calm. Tali sat beside him and looked out at the city too. After a while she said slowly, "Rin, thank you." Her pronunciation was careful but clear. Rin smiled. "You are welcome, Tali." She touched her heart again and then looked up at the sky. "Together," she said, pointing first at him, then at herself, then at the stars. Rin nodded. "Together." That single word carried a promise stronger than any treaty. As the night deepened, he noticed the Queen standing on a distant balcony across the courtyard. Her eyes were turned toward the same stars. She looked both proud and lonely. The wind lifted her silver robe like a wave of light. For a brief moment, her gaze met his through the distance. She smiled softly, as if she could read his thoughts. He did not know it yet, but in that moment the Queen began to see more than a guest in the human engineer. She saw something rare, something her world had not known for a long time, a spirit that reached across the unknown and brought warmth where there was none. When Rin finally lay down to rest, the crystal pendant on his chest glowed faintly again. The Queen's city slept under twin moons, and Tali's song still echoed in his ears. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the stars of Earth waited, but Rin did not know if he truly wanted to leave anymore. The next morning would bring new questions, new discoveries and feelings neither he nor the Queen yet understood. But for that night, Iria was peaceful, and a human heart had begun to shine within an alien sky. The morning sunlight on Iria bathed the palace gardens in a soft violet glow. Rin woke feeling rested but aware of the strange pull this world held on him. The city outside his window shimmered like a river of light, and Tali's laughter echoed faintly from the halls. He could see her running toward him even before she entered. "Tali," he called, smiling. "Rin," she replied, rushing over. Her small hands clutched a glowing fruit shaped like a star. She offered it to him. Rin took it carefully and bit into it. The taste was unlike anything he had eaten before. Sweet, light, and fresh. It made him feel awake and calm at the same time. The princess's eyes sparkled with amusement at his reaction. "Good?" she asked. "Very good," Rin said. They walked together through the palace gardens where trees rose taller than any building on Earth. The leaves shimmered in colors he could not name. Crystals hung from branches like natural lanterns. Small creatures hovered above the flowers, leaving trails of light with every movement. Rin could not help but feel a sense of wonder. He had seen many beautiful places in the universe, but Iria felt alive in a way he could not explain. After a while, they reached a large platform where a crowd had gathered. It was unusual for Rin to see so many Irians at once. The people stood silently, their faces filled with curiosity and respect. Queen Seren stepped forward from the crowd. Her presence commanded attention, not with force but with calm authority. "Tali has told me much about you," she said, her voice clear and calm. The translation crystal she carried made her words understandable to Rin. "You have given life to my daughter. That gift is not one we forget easily." Rin bowed slightly. "I only did what anyone would do," he said modestly. The Queen shook her head. "Few would. Many humans might leave or fear the unknown. You risked your health and your life for another. That shows strength of spirit." Rin felt his face warm. Compliments were rare in his life, and coming from the ruler of a distant world, they were almost unbelievable. "Because of your gift," the Queen continued, "we wish to offer you something in return." She motioned to her attendants, who carried small devices glowing with light. Each device held knowledge, charts, maps, and images of Iria's cities, its rivers, its forests, and the creatures that lived there. Rin examined them carefully. "This is amazing," he said. "I have never seen technology like this." One of the attendants nodded and handed him a thin crystal panel. "It is a gift for understanding," the Queen said. "It will help you learn about our world and help us learn about yours." He looked at the Queen. "I want to help. I want to make sure what I did for Tali can benefit everyone." The Queen's eyes softened. "Your kindness will guide us. That is the true gift." Tali tugged at Rin's hand and led him toward a nearby building. Inside, it was quiet and filled with soft humming sounds. Scholars and scientists worked at glowing tables, their eyes bright with curiosity. They wanted to learn more about Rin's biology. More than just the blood that saved Tali. They wanted to understand what humans could offer to Iria in terms of resilience, creativity, and thought. Rin agreed to help. He answered questions, shared small tools, and allowed them to observe him. Each new result surprised the Irians. Every measurement seemed to reveal something extraordinary about humans. Some of the findings were technical, like how human cells responded to stress differently from Irian cells. Some were less tangible, like human determination and patience. Queen Seren visited frequently. She asked Rin about Earth, its cities, its people, and its ways. He spoke of oceans that stretched for thousands of miles, forests so dense sunlight barely reached the ground, and winds that could carry clouds across continents. He spoke of people working together, building machines, and learning from mistakes. The Queen listened closely, her gaze thoughtful. "Your people adapt," she said. "Even in danger, you do not surrender." "That is a lesson we can learn," Rin smiled. "Humans try to survive. We do not always succeed, but we try." "That is what makes your kind rare," the Queen replied. "Strength is not only in power, but in will." During the following days, Rin began to feel at home. The Irians respected him and valued his input. He walked through crystal forests, visited gardens with floating ponds, and even learned to operate some of their technology. Tali stayed by his side, laughing and asking endless questions. One day, while working with the scholars, Rin noticed a group of Irians discussing something quietly. Curious, he approached and discovered they were talking about his blood. The Irians wanted to study it further so that they could replicate the healing effect without requiring Rin's presence. Rin considered this carefully. He knew that if they succeeded, it could help countless lives on Iria. He also realized it would mean leaving his role behind once the process was complete. The Queen noticed him standing quietly apart. She approached, her silver robe flowing like liquid light. "You worry," she said softly. "I do," Rin admitted. "I want to help, but I am also far from home. I cannot stay forever." The Queen studied him. "I did not expect you to stay. I only hoped your time here would help our people. Yet I see you are patient and willing to teach." "That is more than I expected," Rin nodded. "I want to make a difference, even from a distance." The Queen smiled faintly. "And you will. Humans teach by example. That is why I am grateful. That is why you are important to Iria." Rin felt warmth in her words. He had never imagined that a ruler of a distant planet could value him so deeply. He had survived the crash, saved Tali, and now he had the trust of an entire civilization. Yet the thought of leaving Earth remained in his mind. He had not forgotten his home. Tali ran toward him that afternoon carrying a small crystal tablet. "Rin," she said, "look." The tablet displayed moving shapes and colors. Rin realized it was a simulation, showing how his blood could be studied and replicated safely. The Irians had created a process that might allow healing without harming anyone. "This is incredible," Rin said. "It could help so many people here." Tali nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes, you helped me. Now you help everyone." For the first time, Rin understood fully the power of what he had done. It was not just about saving one life. It was about sharing hope. And on Iria, hope could spread like sunlight through the crystal forests. That evening, Rin met the Queen again in the palace courtyard. The twin suns had set, leaving the sky filled with violet and blue stars. Tali had gone to rest, leaving Rin alone with the Queen. "You have done more than we expected," she said. "Your presence has brought knowledge, kindness, and trust. That is why I am hesitant to let you leave." Rin paused. "I appreciate everything you have done, but I cannot stay forever. Earth is my home." The Queen nodded slowly. "I understand. Yet humans are not like us. They bring life into strange places, even unknowingly. You have given my daughter life, given my people knowledge, and given me hope. That is why you are more than a guest now." Rin looked at her. "I never expected this. I just wanted to help." "You do more than you know," the Queen replied. Her gaze softened. Your blood saved Tali, but your spirit has saved us all. Rin felt a quiet pride. He realized that what he had done was not about power or skill. It was about caring, about taking small actions that mattered. That was a lesson he could carry back to Earth. The Queen stepped closer and placed her hand gently on his shoulder. If you wish, you can continue to teach us even for a short time. Your presence will guide us, and when the time comes, you may leave with our blessing. Rin nodded. I will do what I can. The next few days passed in a rhythm of learning and sharing. Rin worked with the Irian scholars, guiding them in the study of human biology. Tali joined him whenever she could, asking questions and practicing small experiments under his supervision. He showed them how to analyze data, how to record observations carefully, and how to think through problems logically. The Irians learned quickly. They were intelligent, patient, and full of curiosity. Rin often smiled as he watched them, remembering the first moment he had arrived on Iria and seeing how far they had come. One evening, as the twin moons rose in the violet sky, Rin sat with Tali on a balcony overlooking the city. Lights shimmered like stars on the streets below, and the soft hum of the city filled the air. You are happy? Tali asked, tilting her head. I am, Rin said. This is a good place, but I still miss Earth, Tali nodded. I understand. But you are needed here too, Rin looked at her. I want to help, and I will, for as long as I am able. The night air was calm. Rin realized that he had found a balance. He could teach, help, and share knowledge. He could do good without losing himself. And the Irians, in return, had shown him that compassion and curiosity could build bridges across even the farthest stars. As he rested under the twin moons, Rin felt a quiet certainty. The time he had spent on Iria, the lives he had touched, and the lessons he had shared were only the beginning. A human heart had entered an alien world, and it was making a difference far greater than he had ever imagined. And for the first time, Rin wondered not if he could return home, but how he could make both worlds stronger together. The sun rose over Iria, painting the city in shades of violet and gold. Rin woke early as he always did, feeling the familiar calm of the palace around him. The pendant on his chest glowed faintly in rhythm with his heartbeat. Tali was already awake, laughing softly as she floated past his room with a small tray of glowing fruit. Good morning? Rin, she said, her voice filled with cheer. Good morning. Tali, Rin replied, taking the tray. Thank you. They walked together to the garden. The air was soft, carrying the scent of luminous flowers. Birds with wings like glass floated in the air, singing songs that blended with the soft hum of the wind. Rin loved this part of the day. It was peaceful and quiet, a time when the city seemed to breathe with them. Rin, Tali said suddenly, her silver eyes shining. The Queen wishes to see you. Rin nodded. He had spent many days in the presence of Queen Seren, but he always felt a mix of curiosity and respect. Today felt different. He did not know why. When he entered the throne chamber, the Queen was already waiting. She sat on a tall chair made of crystal that reflected the light of the twin suns. Her silver robe shimmered like a flowing river. She looked at Rin with a calm, steady gaze. Rin, she said softly. Come closer. He stepped forward, bowing slightly. The Queen gestured for him to rise. You have done much for my people and for Tali. Your presence has brought hope, knowledge, and kindness. Yet I see hesitation in your eyes. Rin hesitated. He had come to care for Iria, but Earth was still his home. Your people have been kind to me, he said quietly. I never imagined being treated with such respect. But I cannot forget my own world. I must return one day. The Queen nodded, understanding clear in her eyes. I know, she said. Yet you are needed here more than you realize. Your blood saved my daughter, yes, but your spirit has touched our hearts. You have shown us how humans act with courage, patience, and kindness. You have taught us more than science alone can teach. Rin looked down. He had not thought much of his actions, only that he had helped Tali. I never expected this, he said. I only did what I felt was right. Queen Seren rose from her chair and walked slowly toward him. That is why I cannot let you leave just yet, she said. Your lessons are not complete. The Irians still have much to learn from your spirit, and I have grown to value your presence personally. Rin felt a sudden warmth in her words. He had saved a life, shared knowledge, and helped an entire world. Yet now he sensed the weight of responsibility. Leaving would mean leaving behind more than he had imagined. You ask much of me, Rin said carefully. I did not come here seeking honor or praise. I came simply to help. And yet you have brought both, the Queen replied. Your presence reminds us that life can be nurtured with care, not force. That is rare in our history, Rin nodded. He could see the truth in her eyes. This queen, wise and strong, was not only grateful for what he had done. She valued his spirit, his thoughtfulness, and the human courage that had guided him through the crash and beyond. Tali entered the chamber quietly, standing beside her mother. Rin, she said softly, please stay. Teach us more. Help us understand. Rin knelt slightly before her. I will help as long as I am able, he said. The queen walked to a large table where glowing maps and devices were displayed. If you agree, she said, you may continue to guide our scholars, help our healers, and teach the young. In return, we will provide all that you need. Your knowledge will spread, and your teachings will last long after you leave. Rin studied the maps. They showed Iria's cities, rivers, forests, and floating gardens. They also displayed areas where healers had begun to replicate the effect of his blood safely. This is incredible, he said. It could help so many lives. Yes, the Queen said. But it cannot replace the presence of a human teacher. That is why I wish for you to stay, at least for a while. Not as a prisoner, but as a guide and a friend. Rin looked at Tali, whose eyes were wide with hope. He thought of the first day he had saved her, how fragile she had seemed and how alive she now was. He thought of the countless Irians who would benefit from what he could teach. He realized he could do good here, even if it meant staying longer than he intended. I will stay, Rin said finally, his voice steady, for Tali and for your people. But I must know there will be a time when I can return home. The Queen's gaze softened. There will be a time, but until then we need your guidance, not only your knowledge but your example. Humans act differently than we do. They lead by caring, by hope, by persistence. You have shown us that. Rin nodded, feeling a quiet sense of purpose. I will do my best, he said. For the next several days, Rin's role became clearer. He met with the scholars each morning, guiding them in the study of human biology and behavior. He taught Tali and other young Irians how to observe, record, and understand information carefully. He helped healers create safe processes that could replicate the healing effect of human blood without requiring his presence. Every evening, he spent time with Tali. She asked questions, laughed, and sometimes simply sat quietly, watching the twin moons rise over the city. Rin found joy in these simple moments. He was far from Earth, yet he felt a connection to Iria that was strong and comforting. One afternoon, the Queen called Rin to the palace balcony. The city stretched below, filled with shimmering light. Rin, she said, you have taught us much, but I feel there is more I wish to ask of you, not as a ruler, but as someone who values your spirit. Rin looked at her, curious. What is it? I wish for you to help us prepare for the future, the Queen said. Your presence inspires hope. The Irians need that now more than ever. Not all humans can reach our world, but you have shown us what one human can do. Rin thought about Earth, his home, and the people he had left behind. Yet he also thought about Iria, Tali, and the possibilities he had created here. He realized that helping now would not take away from his home. It would only make both worlds stronger. I will help, he said quietly, and I will teach as much as I can. The Queen smiled faintly. That is all I ask. And know this, Rin, your presence is more than guidance. It is a bridge between worlds. Your courage and care have touched us all. That is why letting you leave is not simple. Rin understood. It was not about possession or control. It was about trust, responsibility, and the value of his example. He had given life to Tali, but he had also given hope and knowledge to an entire civilization. That could not be undone. Tali joined them on the balcony. She held Rin's hand softly. Rin, thank you, she said. Not just for saving me, but for staying and teaching us. I have learned so much, Rin smiled. And I have learned from you, Tali. From all of you. You have shown me a world of kindness and curiosity I had never imagined. The Queen placed a hand on Tali's shoulder, looking at Rin. Humans teach through presence. You are not just a visitor here. You are a teacher of hearts and minds. That is why I hope you will remain for a while longer. You are needed, not forced, but needed. Rin looked at the horizon, the violet sky and the floating towers of Iria. He felt a quiet peace settle within him. He could leave one day, but for now he had work to do. Lessons to share and a world to help grow. Then I will stay, Rin said finally, with a quiet determination. I will teach, guide, and share knowledge. But when the time comes, I hope to return home. The Queen nodded. And that time will come. But until then, you are valued, respected, and trusted. That is all I can ask. As the twin moons rose and bathed the city in silver light, Rin felt a sense of purpose he had never known before. He had come to Iria as a human lost in a strange world. Now he was a teacher, a guide, and a symbol of hope. The Queen had made her choice, and Rin had made his. Together, they would continue building bridges between worlds, sharing knowledge, kindness, and courage. And for the first time, Rin understood that sometimes staying in one place, even far from home, could change everything. The twin moons of Iria had risen high, casting soft silver light over the city. Rin sat on the balcony of the palace, looking down at the shimmering towers and glowing gardens. The air was calm, carrying the gentle hum of the city and the soft songs of floating creatures. He had spent many days teaching, guiding, and helping the Irians understand the strength and resilience of humans. Yet tonight, a thought lingered in his mind. He thought of Earth, the blue planet far across the stars. He thought of the forests, the oceans, the rivers, and the people he had left behind. Even after everything he had experienced on Iria, he could not forget home. Tali appeared quietly beside him. She held a small crystal orb that glowed faintly. Rin, she said softly, are you thinking of Earth? Rin nodded. Yes, Tali, I think of home sometimes. But I also think of here. I have learned so much. I have seen a world I never imagined. And I have met people who have changed how I see life. Tali looked at him with silver eyes full of trust. We need you here, she said simply. Not just for knowledge, but for hope. You show us what humans can do. Rin smiled faintly. I want to help, he said. I want to teach. I want to make sure my blood and my lessons can help many, not just Tali. But I cannot forget home forever. One day I must return. Tali nodded slowly. Then we will help you make a choice. The next morning, Rin was called to the throne chamber. Queen Seren was waiting, seated in her crystal chair, her silver robes flowing softly in the morning light. Her calm eyes met his. She spoke without hesitation. Rin, she said, you have done more than any of us could have hoped. You have given life, knowledge, and hope. You have taught patience, courage, and kindness. That is why I cannot simply let you leave. But I also understand your heart. You think of home, and I respect that. Rin bowed slightly. I am grateful for everything you have done for me. I never imagined being treated with such care and respect in a world so far from Earth. But my home is important. I must return one day. The Queen nodded slowly. Then we must decide together. You have offered to teach and guide us. That is already a gift beyond measure. But if we can find a way to share your lessons even after you leave, perhaps both worlds can benefit. Rin looked at her, curiosity and hope mixing in his chest. How do you mean? Queen Seren gestured to the scholars waiting behind her. We have studied your blood, your knowledge, and your ways. If you guide us in creating a process to replicate what you have shared, we can continue to help Tali, the Irians, and even the young students who will follow your lessons. You do not need to stay forever to make a lasting difference. Rin considered this. He realized that he could share his wisdom and still return home. He could teach, inspire, and leave a legacy without remaining in one place indefinitely. His heart lifted. I will do it, Rin said firmly. I will help create the process. Then I can return home knowing your people are prepared. The Queen smiled. That is wise. That is courage in another form. Not the courage to face danger, but the courage to make choices that benefit many, even at personal cost. Over the next several weeks, Rin worked tirelessly with the Irian scholars. They developed new ways to study human biology safely. They created devices that could analyze, record, and reproduce the healing effect he had given Tali. Rin explained the small habits, the careful attention, and the patience humans used in science and medicine. The Irians listened carefully, asking questions and testing each step. Tali was always by his side. She absorbed everything like a sponge, her enthusiasm endless. She laughed often, sometimes making mistakes, but she always learned. Rin found himself enjoying her company more than he had expected. She reminded him of why he had stayed, why he had cared, and why he had made a difference. One evening, Rin stood with the Queen on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin moons cast silver light over the towers, the gardens, and the quiet streets below. You have done more than anyone could ask. Queen Seren said softly. I have seen the Irians change, grow, and hope because of you. Yet I see the longing in your eyes. You wish to return to your home, Rin nodded. Yes, Earth is important to me, but I will always remember this place. I will never forget Tali, you or the people of Iria. And I hope the lessons I have shared continue to guide everyone. The Queen placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. Your legacy is secure, and yet I must admit, your presence has been more than helpful. It has been inspiring. Humans teach in ways we do not fully understand. They bring hope simply by existing. Rin smiled, touched by her words. Then I will make sure that hope continues even after I leave. The next morning, Tali approached him with a small glowing orb. Rin, she said, look. She pressed a button on the orb, and images of the lessons, experiments, and processes they had developed together appeared inside. Rin watched as the Irians who had been learning from him were shown practicing, observing, and creating their own solutions. This is wonderful, Rin said. The knowledge will continue. Even after I return home, it will help everyone here. Tali nodded, her eyes shining. You are human, you care. And that is the greatest gift. The final day of preparation came. Rin walked through the palace halls, visiting the classrooms, laboratories, and gardens. He watched the Irians practicing what they had learned. Their faces were full of focus and pride. He smiled quietly. He had not only saved a life, but also created a future filled with hope. Tali ran toward him, holding his hand tightly. Rin, she said, you will come back sometimes, won't you? Rin squeezed her hand gently. I will come back, Tali, and you will continue to learn and grow. I will be proud of you always. That evening, Queen Seren summoned Rin once more. She handed him a small crystal device. This will allow communication between our worlds. You can speak to Tali, the scholars, and me whenever you wish. Knowledge, guidance, and friendship will continue even across the stars. Rin took it carefully, bowing. Thank you, Queen Seren. You have given me more than I can say. And you have given us more than we can measure, she replied. Her gaze lingered, full of quiet admiration. Go with our blessing, Rin. Take what you have learned, carry it home, and continue to inspire others as you have inspired us. The next morning, Rin stood before the shuttle that would take him home. The city of Iria stretched beneath him, beautiful and alive. Tali stood beside the Queen, her small hand waving as he prepared to leave. Rin touched the crystal device around his neck, a reminder of the bond he had formed and the lessons he had shared. He climbed aboard the shuttle and activated the engines. The ship rose smoothly, carrying him above the violet forests and crystal towers. The wind of Iria's atmosphere brushed past the shuttle, carrying the scent of flowers and the soft songs of birds. Rin watched as the palace and the city became smaller, the twin moons reflecting softly on the hull of his ship. As he entered space, Rin felt a quiet pride and peace. He had faced the unknown, helped those in need, and shared knowledge that would last long after he left. He had touched hearts, inspired hope, and shown the strength of humans in a way that no battle or conquest could. Tali's voice came through the crystal device one last time before he left orbit. Rin, thank you. We will never forget you. And I will never forget you, Rin replied. Be brave, curious, and kind. Teach others as I have taught you. The future is yours to shape. Queen Seren's voice followed. Humans bring more than strength. They bring courage, wisdom, and care. You are an example for all worlds, Rin. May you always carry that spirit. Rin looked at the stars ahead, the path back to Earth shining faintly. He felt a sense of connection to both worlds. He had been lost on a strange planet, faced the unknown, and found purpose beyond survival. He had become a teacher, a bridge, and a symbol of hope. And as the shuttle soared into the dark expanse of space, Rin understood something profound. Humanity was not only about exploration or survival, it was about courage, compassion, and the ability to touch lives beyond measure. He had proven that even one human could change the fate of a world. With a final glance at Iria, Rin whispered, "Goodbye for now." Then he turned toward Earth, carrying hope, knowledge, and the quiet light of a human heart across the stars. The stars welcomed him, and the universe seemed to smile. One human had shown that kindness could travel farther than light, and that the smallest act of courage could leave a legacy greater than any empire. Rin's journey was only beginning, but he knew that the bond between worlds, hearts, and minds would last forever.